What if the US government just hit pause on tens of billions of dollars in infrastructure projects overnight? If you're a government contractor, business leader, or anyone who just cares about how taxpayer money gets spent, listen up, because that's exactly what just happened. The U.S. Department of Transportation, USDOT, dropped a bombshell rule that stopped DBE contracting goals nationwide. By the way, DBE stands for Disadvantaged Business Entities. That's right. They froze major projects in New York, Chicago, and California and forced over 40,000 small businesses to reapply just to stay certified. Welcome, honestly, to the great DBE shakeup of 2025. This is one of the biggest rewrites of federal contracting diversity rules in 40 years. In this video, I'm going to break down several things. What the new USDOT DBE rule actually does, why it's actually shaking up billions of dollars in infrastructure funding, and what it means for minority and women-owned businesses trying to survive in this new system. So stick around, because by the end, you're going to understand how this race-neutral rule could reshape every federal contract in America, and maybe the future of diversity its very self. So what just happened? Well, let's go back a little bit. On October 3rd, 2025, the U.S. Department of Transportation dropped an Interim Final Rule, or an IFR, that did something, well, frankly, some people expected, some didn't expect it, but it makes sense based upon the recent rulings on the 8A program. It eliminated race and gender as automatic qualifiers in the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, known as DBE. What does this translate to? Well, if you owned a certified minority or women-owned firm, that certification just hit pause. Now, you've got to do exactly what you need to do for the most part with the 8A program. You have to prove disadvantage individually, not just by demographics, but by documentation. Think personal narrative, finances, control of the business, the works. Until those recertifications happen, USDOT told every state and local agency, do not set DBE goals. Do not count DBE participation. So basically, the government just hit pause on a key part of how it measures diversity in federal contracts. And the immediate actions are this: within days, the ripple effect started. Agencies across the country began issuing emergency notices. For instance, Metrolink in Southern California sent out a memo resettling all DBE goals to 0% overnight. They reset them overnight. Caltrans, PennDOT, CDOT, they all did the same. And then the big one. U.S. Department of Transportation announced that New York's two mega projects, the 2nd Avenue Subway and the Hudson Tunnel, were under review for unconstitutional contracting practices. In other words, it's, we think your diversity goals might be illegal. And until the review's done, no reimbursements are going to occur. That's right. That's $18 billion in federal funding frozen, plus another $300 million in reimbursements for the subway halted on the spot. And it's not just New York. In Chicago, $2.1 billion is tied to the CTA's Red Line extension and Red Purple modernization. Those got paused as well. Then that's more than $20 billion of infrastructure in limbo because one rule changed the meaning of disadvantaged. And how big is this when you kind of think about what's the impact? Well, here's where it gets wild, if it hasn't gotten wild enough. The DBE program touches almost every federally funded highway, bridge, airport, and transit project in America. Since the 2021 infrastructure law, that's over 100,000 active projects worth more than $215 billion. Not every one of those had a DBE goal. That's right. But they all use the same system. And now the system's being rebuilt while the train's still running. Every one of those DBE firms in the country has to reapply. Each of the 53 unified certification programs, one per state and territory, has to verify those firms one by one. And based on those numbers, it could take up to 6 months to a year before the system fully stabilizes. So yeah, get comfortable. This ain't going to go fast. But how do we get here? Let's go a little bit back and understand why we have this DBE program. The DBE program started in 1983, and the idea was simple: make sure small, minority, and women-owned businesses get a fair shot at federally funded work. Sounds great. Congress set a 10% goal for DBE participation. In 1987, women were formally added as a presumptively disadvantaged group. For decades, that was the system. With tweaks here and tweaks there, the system basically worked. But it always relied on the assumption that certain people started at a disadvantage. Then came the legal challenge. Court cases like Mid-America Milling Company versus USDOT in 2024 argued that presuming disadvantaged based on race or gender violated equal protection laws. And so this year, USDOT said, fine, no presumptions, everyone proves it. That's right, everyone has to prove it, no more presumptions. And why this matters is supporters say this makes the program fairer and more transparent, and finally, constitutionally bulletproof. Critics, on the other hand, say this is death by paperwork because small businesses, the one that this program was set to help, may not have the resources to navigate an individualized recertification maze. If it takes 6 months or a year to recertify everyone, many contracts will close without DBE participation goals. That means fewer opportunities and less accountability on inclusion. So for now, diversity reporting in federal contracting has disappeared into a holding pattern. And the road ahead, well, that's long. This is what's going to come next. State certification officers, called UCPs, are scrambling to process tens of thousands of new applications. Contractors are going to be waiting for modified solicitations with 0% goals. And the legal teams, they're warming up for lawsuits, arguing the rules skip proper notice and common procedures. And this all translates into the courts are about ready to get busy as a construction site used to be. In the meantime, the advice from the USDOT is keep your records tight. Use certification current and make sure that you have endless patience. It's going to be big. And this all means what? Well, the DBE program isn't exactly dead. It's just under reconstruction. Whether it comes back stronger or smaller will depend on how fast agencies move and how well small businesses adapt. But one thing's certain, this is the biggest change to public contracting equity in 40 years, and it's still unfolding in real time. And if you're a government contractor wondering how to navigate all this, don't worry. This first step is the most simple one. Keep watching and make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on the changes that impact your success. And that's the great DBE shakeup. Fairer system or fairer looking one. Subscribe for more breakdowns that actually make bureaucracy interesting. See you in the next one.